content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised.
It's another exciting episode of Wrestling POV Global. That's right, we are back. It's episode 5. You know what? Last week I had a partner. It was Tony. Tony filled in from Wrestling POV. We had a bit of a face-off like I have to do on the show. I argued that New Japan Pro Wrestling could make itself as big as WWE in the US if it did a bunch of things, and I listed them. Tony felt that it was impossible for them to break through. So we threw it out to you, the fans, after a little bit of argument. And we let you fans vote what you thought was the more plausible argument. Well, it seems, and I'm going to say not so surprising fashion, I won. 59% of the votes going to Tony's 41. Tony took this defeat so badly, he's not with me this week on today's show. I don't blame him. I'd be a little embarrassed too to argue 5 minutes and not have even half the people agree with me. So I decided, what am I going to do? I can't do this all by myself, can I? I mean, yes, I'm your intrepid host, TJ Logan. I've been through the podcast battles many a time, but I decided to go deep. I dug deep in the interweb, went through all the dark web, the crazy places that even Wreck-It Ralph would go. Did I find? But Elio Canella. Elio, you know what? I'm sorry if I butchered your name a bit. This is our first chance getting together and doing some podcasting. We're talking about wrestling from around the world. Buddy, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, you know what? This show was built solely on the premise that the WWE is not the only horse in town. That there is some great wrestling out there. Unfortunately, they don't have the money and the promos to get to you people sometimes. So it's our job to kind of wade through the old interweb, wade through all the things to try and find you some quality wrestling from different parts of the world. We're going to be looking at wrestling that's maybe a little different than you've seen. Maybe it's exactly what you've seen. Maybe it's what you remembered. Maybe it's something you've always dreamed of. But we are going to find you some quality wrestling from around the world. Does that sound exciting, Elio?
That sounds great. That sounds very exciting.
Well, you know what? We always start the show with our rumblings. And this week's rumblings, first of all, it's usually rumors, news, and reports of injury. Well, I'm proud to say, or at least happy to say, as a wrestling fan, there was no injuries of note to report this week. So we do not have to talk about injuries. That makes me feel good. There was so much exciting, cool news out there this week. I decided I'm going to skip the rumors and just go straight into the news. So let's take a look at our rumblings today. First of all, Impact Wrestling has been slated to do some shows in Mexico on January 11th and 12th, which they're going to take for TV because obviously they have to. They have not many other shows going on. But this is kind of exciting. Impact, which is already stocked full of a bunch of Mexican wrestlers, going into a whole new country. Hopefully this will be a resurgence in talent. MLW this week has announced that they are going to have a super heavyweight attraction. And when I heard that, I was like, what do they mean? So I looked this up. They have a guy named Ace Romero who is 400 pounds, stepping in the ring with another guy named Barrington Hughes, who's 469 pounds. That is a lot of poundage.
Wow. I mean, I hope they reinforce the ring for that one. I've never seen a heavyweight match of that caliber with two guys that weigh that much.
Well, you know what? I've got to say that is a lot of poundage. Let's hope they reinforce the ring. Let's hope the ropes are strong enough, because if any of these two guys decide to climb up there, I would really hope they don't break their necks just trying to climb up the rope. Anyways, that'll be in Friday, December 14th in Miami. The MLW show is looking to have some great things on it. Sticking with MLW here, Shane Strickland, who you also know from Lucha Underground as Killshot, well, he has been signed to the WWE. He was supposed to make his first appearances in January. However, news has come out that Lucha Underground has some kind of snag in their contract and that the WWE will not be able to pick him up as quick as they thought. This puts him back maybe possibly weeks or months. Until then, MLW says they'll keep him employed and give him matches until he's ready to head off to WWE. Meanwhile, it makes you wonder what Lucha Underground is up to, since they're a show that we don't even know if they're going to have a new season next year. Interesting stuff. Pac. Now, some of you guys may not know who Pac is, but definitely you know the name Neville, the man who defied gravity in the WWE. Well, that cruiserweight walked away from the WWE this year. Managed to win a match. Well, he's had a couple matches back, but he won a belt. Now, this is a mouthful of a title, but he won the Dragon Gate Open Dream Championship in Tokyo, Japan, defeating Masato Yoshino. And I gotta tell you, fans, Pac looking great. We'll talk a little bit more about him for some of the other segments in the show, but great to see Pac come out of retirement finally, or whatever he was doing, seeing him back out there, looking pretty good. Jack Swagger. You remember Jack Swagger back in the days, Elio?
Yep, Jack Swagger, yes.
Well, Jack Swagger, big boy, was a big wrestler. Now he decided he's going to try his hand in MMA. He signed for Bellator. Going to be doing a match. What do you think, Jack Swagger, big boy? What's he going to look like in the MMA?
That should be interesting. I've seen him do wrestling, but never MMA. It should be interesting to see that.
Well, you know what? The last news we have is 3 signings. Well, one we kind of touched on last week, but we have 3 new signings to Ring of Honor. One which just blows me away. You ready for this one, buddy? PCO, Pierre Carl Ouellet, formerly of the WWE like 100 years ago, a full-time contract in ROH. This 51-year-old wrestler is going full-time in Ring of Honor. Crazy.
Wow. Jean-Pierre Lafitte and Carl Ouellet win half of the Quebecers.
He has a pedigree in WWE that is long, but a long time ago. But I've seen some film of the guy. He looks in great shape. I really hope he succeeds. I wonder sometimes when wrestlers kind of give up sometimes too early. Maybe PCO is going to show us that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have that fighting spirit in you, maybe you can get some good wrestling out of you. Also on the ROH front, Brody King, lesser known star, faced many matches in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, as done MLW. Now he is signing into ROH. Going to be exciting. He's a big, strong, burly, tattooed, scary fella. And he has a good pedigree with his matches. I enjoy what he does. I think he's going to make a big difference in ROH. But the one that we have to confirm, and we talked a bit about it for sure, it's 100% confirmed, Silas Young re-signing with ROH. This is great for ROH. Good news. He has become, in the last year, I think one of the key players in ROH. And I think with the possible exodus coming up of Adam Page and the rest of the elite, that's 5 guys leaving the top of the ROH card. I think losing him, and we talked about Jay Lethal signing a deal last week, I think losing those 2 guys would have made it almost scary, maybe shut the doors kind of deal, but I see a lot more hope. Silas Young, great contender. I've met him many times, talked with him a few times, I've interviewed him. He's a really good fellow, really good wrestler, and I enjoy his mind. He's a great ring general, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of a push of him in the coming year. Well, Elio, we like to talk about different companies, and there are some companies that we talk about on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to start off, this is the start of NJPW POV. That's New Japan Pro Wrestling's point of view.
Okay.
Now, New Japan right now is currently in the middle of the World Tag League. The World Tag League is an exhausting tag team tournament. We're talking 14 teams fighting over 13 nights until one team will emerge as a clear-cut contender. Now, how does this work? Is every team will face each other at least once in the 13 or 14 days that they're in there. If you defeat a team, you win 2 points. If you lose, you get 0 points. If you go to a draw, you get 1 point. Now, any of the teams that are entered in here, if they manage to win the most points and win the final night, they will get a guaranteed title shot against the World Tag Team Champions at Wrestle Kingdom. But as New Japan is apt to do, they throw in some monkey wrenches in there. The tag team champions are in this tournament. The Gorillas of Destiny are in there fighting every night. They are not defending their title during this tournament. They are in competing. Now, what do they get? If they manage to come out and win, they get to pick their own. They get to hand-pick their opponents for Wrestle Kingdom. So at stake, belts can be easily, things in this tournament can decide the fate of the tag team division within New Japan. Now, let's talk a bit about some of these teams. I want to get you spending some time over the last couple of weeks talking about some of the teams. Let's talk about 4 of the teams today. First, I want to talk about Evil and Sonata.
Okay.
They are both members of Los Ignobles de Japón. They have been former champions themselves. They are both strong contenders. I know you've seen these guys. What's your impression of Evil and Sonata?
Evil has an interesting look. I like his entrance.
Very theatric.
Yep.
Very WWE-ish. But you know what? When I first saw this guy and he came in and he's wearing this big robe and he's got the mask, he's got the lasers on his fingers and he's got this big sight. And at first I couldn't take him seriously. I thought, this guy's a joke. But you know what? You're into this gimmick, and he is definitely not a guy you laugh at. He hits heavy. He's a part of the powerhouses on their team, and he's one of the guys who can stand toe-to-toe with just about any of the big dudes in New Japan. So he is something. Sonata, though, very gifted athletically, has one of the best jumping. I don't know how you measure that, but apparently he has a standing free jump that is higher than most NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
He easily laps over people, and I forgot to mention, every time I mention this guy, he has one of the most strangest moves in his repertoire. He has what's called the Paradise Lock. I don't know if you've ever seen this move. It's an old move where you roll up a guy like in a ball, and he's tied up with his arms and legs. And the only way out is you pretty much have to run and kick him in the ass as hard as to get him out of this.
Oh, wow, I've never seen that move.
And it's kind of neat to see. Yeah, I'm going to have to send you a thing with that. It's one of Sonata's bread and butters. They are doing great in this tournament. We'll talk a little bit more about them at the end of this segment. But next team I want to talk about is Nakanishi and Nagata.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking, wow, you want to talk about veterans. I think they are the veterans of the veterans.
They've been there since the beginning of Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh my goodness, they're the beginning of wrestling Stone
Yeah.
Age. I mean, Nagata is closing in on 50. Nakanishi is over 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a lot of step in them, especially Nagata. He's known as Blue Justice everywhere. But to be honest, I'm not seeing them as any kind of threat in a field full of really strong teams. They're kind of old. They're past their day. And lately, I've only seen them really fighting a lot of young lions and having success. So far in this tournament, we're 9 days in, and they have won 0 points. So I don't know if they'll go through the whole tournament with a goose egg, but it wouldn't surprise me. I don't see them being a team anywhere near the finals. Now, I got a team for Elio. I know this is going to make you laugh and giggle a little bit, but let's talk about the best friends. The best friends. Funny name to begin with.
Yep.
Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, 2 guys who have cruised along in indie wrestling. Taylor has not made as much of a splash, but now he's starting to make his name a little bit in Ring of Honor. However, Trent Beretta has been a standout in New Japan. We know him before teaming with Rocky Romero as Roppongi Vice. Now he finds himself with Chuck Taylor. You know what the funniest part of this team is?
What's that?
I don't think I've ever seen this before, man. They walk to the ring and they hold hands.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that either. I'm not sure what to say to that. I mean, they say they're very hetero and they're very, they're just best friends. And wow, I got to tell you, I do not hold hands with my best friend. So this was a bit of a surprise for me. And the last team I want to look at, and I know you know one of these guys rather well, and one of them is a new and upcomer. They put together a veteran and a young guy. Well, first of all, best friends, they could be a dark horse contender. Put them in the middle of the pack, but they have a chance of sneaking in there. I see them more being up than on the bottom of the cards. Togi Makabe and Toa Hanare.
Mm-hmm.
This is I know you know Makabe very well.
Yes.
He's a multi-time world champion. He's won the G1 a couple times. I think he even won it back-to-back once. He is a great talent. However, he too is getting up there quite a bit in age.
Mm-hmm.
He was Toa Hanare, who just a year ago was one of the young lions, now stepping out and getting a chance to wrestle. Usually Maccabees teamed up with Hanma, but Hanma has suffered yet another concussion this year, and it doesn't look like Hanma really has much more in him for the rest of his career. He's taken a lot of bad injuries. So Hanari facing up with Maccabee. Interesting combination, veteran and young, but I think this time the veteran's too old and the newcomer's too young. I don't see these guys being a threat in this tournament. Now, I wanted to point out to you a couple of teams that for this week is my keep an eye on because they're doing rather well. First of all, Evil and Sonata. I know we just talked about them. They're right at the top of the pack right now with wins. They're doing really great.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the Killer Elite Squad, Lance Archer and Davey Boyson Jr.
Right.
These guys are monsters in Japan. I mean, when you're 6'6", 6'7", you tower over people. They are also doing well, but I'm going to throw in my little pick of the week. They are not going to win this tournament. I don't think they're going to get enough points to do it. However, they have defeated the Killer Elite Squad, and they have defeated the Gorillas of Destiny, which means they will get a title shot before Wrestle Kingdom. I'm talking about Ken Cozy, Kenzan, and Satoshi Kojima, the leader of the Bread Club. Folks, if you want to know what the Bread Club is, look up Kojima's Twitter account. He talks about it quite a bit. Or if you want to be lazy and want me to tell you, well, send me an email and say, hey, what the heck is the Bread Club? Not just going to give that away for free. Now, while this is going on, all these matches have been going on quite a bit. Last week, Elio, I know you didn't get a chance. You were out of town doing some stuff, but there were 4 full cards in the last 8 days.
Wow.
On New Japan. That's a lot of wrestling going on. Each of those cards is 3 to 4 hours long. So just to cover New Japan this week, if you wanted to cover it super thoroughly, it would take you 32 hours of just New Japan. Opposed to, say, Impact, which gave us less than 15, 20 minutes of good wrestling. Anyway, we'll get to them. There is other matches going on, but none of the matches are championship matches, and none of the matches are really they're mostly 6-man, 8-man, 10-man matches. However, a match that stuck out in my mind and a lot of people's was old-time rivals Okada and Tanahashi teaming together for the first time ever in their careers, teaming together to take on a team that included their very hated rival Jay White. Jay White, who turned on Okada and has done nothing but attack Tanahashi and Omega and just about anyone else around him. Jay White has proven himself to be the ultimate jerk. He turned on his stable Chaos. Now he's joined the Bullet Club. Where this guy is going next, I don't know, but he is leaving a lot of enemies. And Elio, I would not want to be Jay White when the rest of New Japan wrestlers catch up. Now, folks, let's move on to Impact point of view. Now, Impact has a lot of wrestlers that I like. It has a lot of friends that I know that compete for this company. They're based in Canada, which makes me kind of happy. But, wow, man, sometimes this is the hardest part of sitting through the direct that they kind of give us now and then. Elio, last week they did a turkey brawl where they had 10 men, like 5 men versus 5 men. The loser had to wear a turkey suit. They spent 2 hours setting up that match. that was the Eli Drake turkey match. Yeah, Eli Drake is going to be a turkey if he keeps doing these kind of matches. It was bad, man. There wasn't even top wrestlers in this gravy match. At the end, oh my lord, Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno, took the loss, had to dress like a turkey. When you saw him walking in, you knew it was going to be him losing. I mean, Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno.
Wow. There's a name that brings me back to WCW days.
Yeah, wow, and not even a good wrestler back then.
I was never a fan of his.
Now, last week, like I said, Impact it made me very sad because the 2 weeks before that, we had solid, good shows. Then last week was this horrible, you know what they did most of the time, Elio? Instead of, this match went maybe 10 minutes. They spent the rest of the 2 hours showing us old, crappy footage that we've seen a million times from Impact. Just like, oh, it's flashback.
Now, did they show any of Aces and Eight things?
No, luckily they didn't show us that much, but it got to the point that they showed AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe match. I mean, how old is that? I don't know. I don't turn into new wrestling shows to watch old wrestling matches. I have YouTube. I can do that. I have the network. I can do that anytime I want.
Right. We have the GFW network.
Who is going to pay for that? Come on, they should pay us to watch. But
Yes.
Now, they are a fun team. We've talked about them a bit here. I love seeing them. Pentagon Jr. has the most extreme, different look than I've ever seen any wrestler have.
Hmm.
Now, Phoenix and him, they make a great team. They took on a very strong team of Rich Swann, formerly WWE, and Willie Mack, one of the top NWA guys. This was a great match. The Lucha Brothers taking the win, setting back Swann and Willie Mack. But I gotta say, Lucha Brothers always fun. Really look forward to every time I see them on the card.
Yeah, I'm a fan of these guys.
You are? What do you think of how Pentagon Jr. looks? I know the first time I saw him, I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I saw the whole theatrics, the masks, the paint, face paint.
Who would have ever thought that how effective that is, mixing a mask and face paint? Pretty cool stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, we had Jordan Grace, one of the powerhouse ladies. Met this girl, totally a sweetheart.
Mhm.
Someday we will play her on Time Capsule. We'll play the 7 to 10 minute interview I did with her. But she had a rematch with Katrina. Do you remember Katrina? Used to be Katie Lee Burchill.
Katie Lee Burchill, and she was paired with the pirate Paul Burchill.
The pirate Paul Burchill. And you wonder why WWE suffers from right. Who wouldn't want to see a pirate? Oh my God. Anyhow, she's been around, bouncing around TNA for quite a while. She's been calling herself Winter for a while.
Yep.
Now she took on Jordan Grace a couple weeks ago. Grace beat her, and then they had a rematch, and Grace beat her again. And you know what? This is one of those rare matches where the loser actually looks better coming out of it. Katrina's always been a weak wrestler in my mind. Jordan Grace gave her a lot to work with, and she looked better coming out of it. Both girls looked great. And that's not usually what happens to someone that aren't the top contenders. You find a lot of women wrestlers who just kind of skate by on looks. Not so with Katrina. She actually got to show us she could do something. So that was cool. Taya Valkyrie against Ray Lynn. This was a total mismatch. Valkyrie destroying Ray Lynn. Do you know much about Valkyrie? Have you seen her before there?
I have seen her before, and we've interviewed her on another show, and I haven't seen much of her, but what I've seen, she has a unique look. She's got the whole Viking entrance going on.
Now, I've spent many years out here in Western Canada, and a lot of times, a lot of wrestlers who train at Landstorm Academy come out of training, and they'll spend a year or two in the area honing their crafts before moving on back to their homes. I seen Taya Valkyrie when she first started. I wasn't sure she didn't really stand out too much to me. There were a lot of other women wrestlers who I've interviewed and kept contact with and saw great things. Valkyrie kind of slipped under the radar, and then she went to Mexico and became probably one of the most renowned non-Mexican women wrestlers of all time. First woman of non-Mexican origin to win the women's title belt in AAA. So she's considered one of the best women wrestlers ever in AAA. Kind of cool to see her out here. I know they're gearing up for her to fight with Tessa Blanchard for the belt. As much as Valkyrie's impressive now, it's just I don't see Tessa Blanchard losing to her. I think that it's going to stop her momentum pretty soon, and that she should count her lucky stars that she's got main matches right now in Japan. I got to ask about, you ever watch that show, the 70s show?
That 70s show, yeah. I never really saw that. I seen the odd episode, but was never really into it.
Okay, well, they used to do this reoccurring joke where they'd sit around the table and the camera would pan each one of them.
Right, I know that part. I know about that, yeah.
Yeah. And so you got the idea that they were probably smoking marijuana downstairs, hiding out and telling jokes, right? The Rascals, this new team in Impact, that's their shtick. They use that as their promos.
Oh, no.
Sitting around acting like they're all stoned out or whatever. But I saw something in their debut match that I've never seen before. They took on I got the names here, but I'm just going to call them Jobber 1 and Jobber 2.
Okay.
The Rascals took them on. They finished the match where they had their opponent down, and then one of the Rascals did a standing shooting star press, while his opponent, as he did the flip into it, his opponent pushed him like about in midair, about 5 or 6 feet, and he came down onto his opponent one. It was like the wackiest thing I've ever
Wow.
seen. Yeah, who would ever even think of doing something like that? Now the Rascals, they have been all around PWG. They've been across West Coast wrestling. this is their first forum on a more national basis. I don't know what to think. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to admit, they had some exciting wrestling in them. And last time, this is the last part of Impact we're going to talk about today. Tommy Dreamer comes out, challenges Eli Drake to a match. Eli Drake steps out of the ring, gets himself disqualified, but then the announcer comes out and says they'll make it a no DQ match. In the end, Eli Drake ends up pinning Tommy Dreamer. And there's two questions that come out of this. Why was this on TV for me to waste my time looking at? And second of all, how do you let a 110-year-old man like Tommy Dreamer in the I don't get it. Elio?
Right. I was just about to say, why is Tommy Dreamer still being used? They only bring him out on special occasions like this, and he never really does anything. It's always the same thing. You get the ECW chant from the audience, which I'm getting tired of hearing.
Well,
Along with the what chant, that's another one I'm getting tired of hearing.
The what chant is probably the most annoying chant I've
Yeah.
ever heard in my life. There's a new chant that's really annoying me. I don't know if you've seen this thing. I see people saying it, especially in like European matches, in Major League Wrestling, and it has happened. Every time the ring announcer comes up and says, today's match will be one fall, and then the crowd all yells out, one fall.
I heard that. I don't understand what the story behind that.
I don't know. If there's a story behind it, fans, please write us, because maybe me and Elio are too busy looking at wrestling to understand the nonsense of this chant. Explain it to us, because we don't get it.
Yes, I'd like to know.
Now let's get back to Tommy Dreamer. I don't understand why people keep using Tommy Dreamer. You're right. His matches are so boring. I think that money could be well more spent bringing in Frankie Kazarian or Scorpio or Sky, or even, hey, let's bring in Christopher Daniels. At least he's going to entertain you and make a fun, hard-working match.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't cost that much more than, or probably costs the same as Tommy Dreamer. Why would you pay Tommy Dreamer and his kendo stick to make another boring appearance? So over ECW. Sorry, I'm so over ECW. Well, you know what, fans? Before I go into an alcohol rage over Tommy Dreamer and the rest of the boring ECW, and if I swear one person says one fall to me somewhere on the street, they're going to be getting a punch. I'm going to take a break. The anger in me is quelling, and I say, Elio, let's take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit of MLW. We'll talk some Rev Pro, and definitely talk some Ring of Honor. And that special interview I talked about last week with Frankie Kazarian. So, folks, we'll be back in a few minutes.
All right.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle. Listen to the Wrestling POV podcast. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Hello, this is Miguel Cole from the Wrestling POV podcast. Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global is affiliated with the Collar and Elbow brand. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com and save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Collar and Elbow has t-shirts, hoodies, sunglasses, and more. And the best part, you're helping out your local indie wrestlers. And you're helping out the best wrestling podcast of all, Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global. You don't want to miss out. So save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Oh my goodness!
Well, thank you for that great promo code. Who would have thought getting stuff from Collar and Elbow would be that easy and that save you that much money? But you know what, folks? It's time for the honor roll. And the honor roll means we are going to look at ROH wrestling. Now, I know that Elio had a lot more chance to look at some ROH stuff this week. We're going to talk a little bit about this week's episode. We're going to talk a little bit about Final Battle and anything that may pop in our minds. But there are only two things that stuck with me on this week's episode. First of all, Kenny King beating Christopher Daniels. I don't know about you, man. Kenny King, I'm just not digging this dude.
I've never been a fan of Kenny King at all.
He's like where charisma goes to die.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No.
He seems to try hard, but he just doesn't connect, either as a heel, as a face. I'm just not enjoying what he's about.
Nope, never been a fan.
Never been a fan. Now, this current storyline with Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels, at the beginning of the year, him and Frankie Kazarian had attacked Joe Koff. Joe Koff, extremely upset, said, you know what, when the end of the year comes, unless I'm forced to have to keep you guys are gone. If you can't win anything big, if you can't show that you guys are important for ROH, you're gone. So, this week we learned in a vignette that Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian actually, because they had won the belts, they have the fact that SCU won the belts forces Joe Koff to give them contracts. We see that. But Christopher Daniels has been on nothing but a losing streak. He lost at Survival, the fittest made it till the end. He has not won a match since, and he did not win against Kenny. Boy, does this guy ever a Boar King fight. But now, Christopher Daniels finds he has one last shot. If he doesn't win his match against Marty Scurll at Final Battle, it might be the last we see of Christopher Daniels. I gotta tell you, I think that's a shame.
Yeah, I don't want to see him going anywhere else.
Do you think he has it in him to beat Marty Scurll? I mean, Scurll is a guy who has the craziest... he's got a great offense that is unmatched by a lot of people right now.
Marty Scurll's got a great look in his whole wrestling repertoire, but and I like Marty Scurll, but I don't want to see him beat Daniels.
Me neither. So we know Final Battle has... We're going to talk about the two best matches because the main event on ROH, it could have decided, it could have thrown off the semi-main event. That was when we had the team of SCU putting their belts up against Stuka Jr. and Guerrero Maya Jr. from CMLL.
Mm-hmm.
These are two big Mexican luchadors coming up from the Mexican city, taking on the ROH World Champions. Had they won, that would have totally upset everything that's set up for Final Battle. They didn't win. But I gotta tell you, man, Elio, what do you think of this? Last week, the Briscoes taking on the Young Bucks. The winning team was supposed to be to get a title shot against whoever won between Stuka Jr. and Guerrero Jr. against SCU. SCU wins. They come out to watch the match. The Briscoes, Young Bucks, goes to a double disqualification. The SCU comes out and says, you know what? We don't think that's cool. We're not standing for that. So we're going to give both you guys a title shot at the same time, a triple threat match, and then to even make it worse, they're going to make it a ladder match. Why on earth would the champions put themselves in a match where they can easily lose those belts without being pinned?
Well, first of all, I've never been a fan of triple threat matches when championships are involved. Because I just think it's a bad idea. Like, champions could lose the belt and not even get pinned. That totally seems unfair to the champion.
So does that mean SoCal Uncensored, are they just being really arrogant? Are they being foolish to offer this match?
Sounds like a bit of both. Like, because on one hand, because they're offering this championship match because they think they can beat the other two teams, but then at the same time be foolish because they don't even have to get pinned to lose it.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this, man. Not a bright move in my opinion, but we'll see how it works out. Hopefully, fans have really been digging what SCU is all about lately. Despite the fact they're kind of jerks, they're the lovable jerks that you want to see win. I've always enjoyed these three guys. Christopher Daniels may not be defending the belts right now, but I love Scorpio Sky. I've met him, I've interviewed him before. I've seen him wrestle. I thought there was a guy who deserves a bigger shot. And then 5 months later, he joins ROH. Now he's the World Tag Team Champion. Frankie Kazarian. You know what? I met him last week. Dude, we have an interview with him we're going to do today.
Awesome.
Fresh off the presses. So, yeah, crazy idea. I'm not sure why a three-way ladder match. My God, that is so crazy.
A ladder match of all things. I mean, just climbing up the ladder, grabbing the belts, and they lose.
Yeah, they have not been teaming a lot. SCU is a fairly new team compared to the other teams. Young Bucks, they've been teaming together for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in a few ladder matches. The Briscoe brothers have been together for over 10 years. They've been in many ladder matches. I'm not sure if this was a smart move at all by SCU. We'll see how it plays out. But I want your opinion right now on the Final Battle main event. Jay Lethal putting his belt up against Cody Rhodes. Now, we know it's Cody Rhodes' last day in Ring of Honor. He claims he's going to win the belt and take it with him as a trophy. What do you think of this match, and who are you hoping goes and wins this whole thing?
I think it'd be a bad idea if it's Cody Rhodes' last night for him to win the championship and then just take off, unless they're swerving us and they bring him back later on.
Yeah, I think it's a little irresponsible of Ring of Honor to actually have this match happen. I get that it's a great draw. A lot of people want to see Cody Rhodes, but they risk the chance of losing their belt and having it kind of displayed in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants that. I think, however, Jay Lethal is one of the most incredible wrestlers that I've seen in a long time. And I think he is going to be, I think it's going to be wonderful. I think I'm going to dig out, for next week's episode, I'm going to dig out in the vault. We're going to play a 20-minute interview I did with Jay Lethal next week. The man was exciting, fun. We talked about some great stuff. It isn't that old. It's only a couple of years old. It's still relevant with the things he talks about. I'm hoping he beats Cody Rhodes. I've met Cody Rhodes. I think he's a tremendous wrestler, but I think Jay Lethal is probably one of the most talented men not working in the WWE today. But you know what? It is time now for the MLW point of view. We're going to look at Major League Wrestling. And I know, Elio, you told me, I sent you the matches to watch. You told me, we did talk about the matches before coming in here, but you did tell me you found it refreshing and different. What is it that caught your eye about MLW?
Just the whole atmosphere, the style of wrestling that goes on there, and just everything was like completely different from what I'm used to watching every week.
Okay. Well, you know what? There was a few segments. We're actually just going to look at one of the matches, and we're going to talk about one of the segments that we saw in there. First of all, I reported this last week that Conan, 175-year-old Conan, will take on, well, he's no spring chicken either, but low-key for the world title. This is crazy. They had a bit of an interview with Conan talking about it. There has got to be something up here. It's a no disqualification match. Conan has not wrestled in years. I do believe he even has a replaced hip. What do you read out of this one, Elio?
Actually, I'm not really a big fan of Conan, and I'm not a fan of Loki, even from his days in WWE's Cabal. And I saw what he did in the opening match, where they made it look like he tore off the other guy's ear.
That was something, eh?
Yeah.
Loki is one of those guys. He amazes me. I made fun of him last week. I didn't really mean to make fun of him so much. He's a small man who has a giant voice like this. I'm going to tell you, Elio, if you get near me in the ring, I will destroy you with my honor and polish your face with my whatever. But then the guy's like 5'6" or something. But Conan, I mean, I can't think of a world title match that I want to see less than Conan facing Loki. Wow. But going on, one of the big things we talked about, and things worked out weirdly, is the main event. Filthy, and boy, look at his shirt. He is filthy. Filthy Tom Lawler taking on Sami Callihan, who I think they just filthy like Callihan, in a Chicago street fight. Now, Elio, I know that you love Sami Callihan, and you love OVE and everything they represent, so I want you to talk a bit about this match.
I'm sure you're mistaken. I'm sure you're mistaken. Oh, I'm not a fan of Sami Callihan or OVE. Oh, no. Even from his days as Solomon Crow. But this match, it was like we went back in a time machine to '98 when they used to have like all these like crazy matches going on. Not that they don't still do it today, but it had everything you'd expect: garbage cans, tables, videotapes, steel chairs.
It always kills me is every time they have one of these matches and somebody grabs a garbage can and then they dump the garbage can out, and it never looks like the stuff that's in there never looks like the stuff that should be at an event like that. It's usually full of some other dumb crap that you're like, oh, this is so fake.
I'm sure they put cardboard in there.
Well, I got a very big kick out of Sammy goes under the ring. He pulls out a spike, which is kind of scary in some ways, but very 1990s Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, that one totally stuck out.
And then he brings out a VHS tape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sami Callihan manages to take that spike, ram it into Lawler's mouth. This is kind of gross and disgusting. And then he smashes the tape. And fans, this is where you're going to have to suspend disbelief. Because he smashes the videotape, and he doesn't use the jagged parts. What he does is he takes the inside tape and chokes Lawler with the tape. Now, anyone who's ever dealt with VHS tape knows that is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Well, how about this? I forgot this part. There was a fan in the audience who had a sign that said, Filthy Tom, please use this sign. And then he took the sign and hit Callahan with a cardboard sign. You would have swore Callahan was hit with like a butcher's block to the face. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. But props to Callahan, because he did something pretty gross when I think about it. He put that sign in Lawler's mouth and then kind of acted like he would rip it out, so it was like ripped across his lips. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could escape that, but the thought of that is pretty gross.
Wasn't there a part during the match where he was actually chewing the cardboard or something?
Yeah, that's what I meant. He stuck it in his mouth and ripped it across. There was one even part where Lawler went under the ring and brought out a pop can, like a pop, not a can, but like when you go to the movies, they give you one of those cups and you put a lid on it.
Oh yeah, okay.
He takes a sip out of it. He's been under the ring, and then he throws it in Callahan's face. Yeah. There was parts of this that made me go, man, I am back in WWC's worst. The end of the match, Dirty Tom win. Now, or Filthy Tom, I guess I should call him. Now, this had some ramifications because Sami Callihan is supposedly the strong arm of Low Key's army. And so the only reason he went in against Lawler is because Lawler has the title shot in 2 weeks coming up. Mm-hmm. And he was supposed to soften up Lawler. Now, we saw at the end, we're going to end this segment with two things we're going to talk about. First of all, we saw at the end of the segment, we knew that Filthy Tom has been injured slightly after this match in an MMA match, broke his hand possibly. They did a segment where Simon Gotch came out. Now, Simon Gotch is supposed to be Lawler's tag team partner, but he says, I'm going to take you down and talk to the press. He takes him into this room, pushes him in, locks the door, and Lawler finds himself surrounded by all of Low Key's mercenaries. I guess this is a good way to write out Lawler being injured, not being able to fight. What did you think of Simon Gotch being, once again, the jerk bad guy we all knew he was?
Well, that part, I might have missed that part, but I know about Simon Gotch. I never really was a fan of him, even like as part of the Vaudevillains. Aiden English is the one that always stood out to me.
Yeah, there was something really odd about Simon Gotch. You know, he just looked really ridiculous.
He just has that, like, odd look. Like, he came out of the 30s and 40s and somehow entered the 2000s.
I think you're giving WWE credit more than writers and more credit than they deserve. But it was a good way to explain Lawler's miss out. Another storyline, which we'll probably see in next week's episode, because their episodes tend to happen a week after we report them. Apparently, now Sami Callihan is on the outs with Logan. In, and I don't know who it is yet, but they are going to bring in a mercenary to deal with him. Oh, wait a second. The rumor is it might be La Park. I don't know if you remember him. He used to be La Parka back in the WWE days. It might be La Park. So
is that how they're calling him, La Park?
Well, they call him Hijo de La Park.
Oh, okay.
Son of La Park. But it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting. He was always a toughie. I mean, sure, he danced around and did his chair thing a lot, but back in WCW days, he was one of the few luchadors that I thought could probably mess you up if he got mad at you.
Now, he had an interesting look with that whole...
skeleton.
That whole skeleton. I was like, am I watching an episode of Masters of the Universe?
Yep. You look like Fat Skeletor, as if Skeletor put some weight on. You know what? I've been saying some insulting things about OB, Sami Callihan, Kenny King. There are going to be a few wrestlers who are going to kick my ass if they ever come up here. So I think from now on, when they come to this part of the world, I'm going to introduce myself as Elio Canella. And I'm going to save myself from getting beat on. Just saying. Let's move on now to Rev Pro POV.
Okay.
Now, I know this was your first exposure to Rev Pro.
Yes.
What did you think overall of it?
Now, Rev Pro is interesting. I did watch a couple of the matches that you sent me today, and the wrestling style is again different than what I'm used to seeing from week to week.
All right.
But it was a breath of fresh air.
Excellent. Well, you know what? I want to key in on three people in particular.
Mm.
First of all, David Starr, the Jewish warrior. As I didn't know if you noticed all the Jewish symbolism on him, and he is kind of a jerky guy who has a lot of bad things to say about people. But I'm going to give him something. He's got something about him, a talent and a unique set of moves that I found pretty interesting.
He does have that unique look, and also when he makes his entrance, he just like sits there on the stage until the announcer finishes saying his name, and then he just like makes his way to the ring. I like when he gets on the mic, he starts arguing with the fans. He starts arguing
that
with
felt like the Christmas spirit coming up on us.
Yeah. I like when he gets on the mic, starts arguing with the fans, and I noticed the catchphrase that he has: "Embrace David Starr."
I don't think I want to embrace David Starr. I'm a guy. I don't think I want to embrace him, but I do find him interesting. I've seen his name pop up quite a bit in the last 6 months in different places. I'm going to keep my eye on this guy. He's currently the Rev Pro middleweight champion.
Yeah,
so
he was so pretty good.
The next guy I want to speak about is a guy that I know personally, and I wanted you to take a close look and see what you thought of how he looks and how he performs. Is El Fantasma.
El Fantasma. This guy was he had a very good match with a kid. I like when they did the whole bridging up.
Oh yes.
And all the chain wrestling on the mats. That was a pretty good match, and I also saw something we don't see in many matches, where they shook hands at the beginning and the end of the match.
That was great sportsmanship. What do you think? I know it's kind of rare to see anyone walk the ropes besides The Undertaker, but El Fantasma walked at least half to 3/4 of the ring around the ring before jumping on his opponent for a standing hurricanrana. What do you think of that?
Yeah, when I saw that, the Undertaker was the first thing that popped into my head. It's like, wow, I've only ever seen Undertaker do that, but this guy like walked more than Undertaker ever did around the ring.
I gotta say, as exciting that is, I always wonder why his opponent just doesn't push him off or pull him off. That being said, El Fantasma is a guy that I've enjoyed watching. He's from Vancouver. He used to wrestle for Elite Championship Wrestling. He is fun. I've known that guy. I've talked to him many times. He's a pretty cool guy. Really into this whole rave, rock, metal stylings. You see him come up. The music's insane. Did you catch those cool glasses he had?
I did. He's got that Bret Hart trait going on. He gave away those glasses to one of the fans.
Yeah, and those were way cooler than the cheap-ass glasses Bret used to give away.
Yeah, definitely.
These ones, they had lights sparkling, and you had to see them, fans. They were something else. But
I want those glasses.
I think you would look good in those glasses. I think you'd pick up a lot of chicks with those things. But looking forward, I got to tell you that El Fantasma is a guy I've seen develop. It's nice to see him stepping up on a bigger platform. I believe this year he won the British J Cup tournament, meaning that he is a junior heavyweight who is considered one to be looked at right now. I think there's some great stuff ahead with him. His match with A-Kid was pretty cool. A-Kid really needs a better freaking name because A-Kid is ridiculous. But El Fantasma, check him out, fans. He's something to watch. Now the main event, this is what I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
Okay, we mentioned this guy's name earlier in the show. We're talking about the man gravity forgot. We knew him as Neville. He's back on the independents, calling himself Pac. Pac here, taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. And I don't understand why he's Speedball, because he wasn't really that fast, and he dressed in a stupid karate thing and did just dumb things.
Yeah.
He didn't even wear boots. And I always say, if you're not Samoan and you're not wearing boots, get the hell off my screen, you're an idiot. But Speedball Mike Bailey, one of the most boring karate styles ever.
No.
His ass handed to him by Pac.
Not a fan of Mike Bailey at all. Or anyone that has to just use kicks to the legs, kicks to the head, kicks to the midsection. This isn't karate, this is wrestling. If I want to see karate, I'd watch The Karate Kid.
So would you say that Speedball Mike Bailey kind of sucked?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so Mike Bailey, if you are listening to this, Elio just said you suck. If you want to come over, you come to Toronto, you lay out the challenge, he'll put on some boots, and he'll show you what it's all about. Thank you, Elio. It's about time somebody stood up to these karate idiots. Elio, don't kill me. I had to say that. Well, you know what? Let's keep the fun alive. Let's go into this next segment here. We're going into a 10-minute interview that I did with Frankie Kazarian just last week. He was here in Edmonton, took on the PWA champion Skandor Akbar, Sheikh Akbar Shabazz. I'm thinking old school wrestling. Took on Sheikh Akbar Shabazz. Shabazz and him ended up going into an impromptu tag team against the Western Lions. Great match. It was fun. Afterwards, got to talk with Frankie Kazarian, and he talked about some really cool stuff going on in ROH. He talked about the exodus of people for the league. He talked about some really cool things I never knew about him. I never knew he had such a great sense of humor. He talked music. He talked cigars. Fans, if you want Frankie Kazarian to be even cooler to you, buy a great cigar, take it to the matches, give it to him. He loves them. And you know what, Elio? I'm going to give you just one little sample from this interview before we hear it. I know you didn't get a chance yet. You know the theme music that he comes out to? He wrote himself.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently he's involved with 2 or 3 bands. He does a lot of songwriting, singing, and performing. And, well, fans, just listen to this interview and you tell us what you think.
Hey fans, we got a chance to talk with Frankie Kazarian, one half of the ROH Tag Team Champions from SoCal U. Frankie, first of all, welcome to Canada.
Thanks for having me. I love being in Canada.
Have you been to Canada before in Western Canada?
I've been all over Canada.
So the snow wasn't a shock?
No. The snow wasn't the shock. The weather was a little colder than it is in Southern California.
A little bit.
Edmonton is the worst town I've ever been in, but to be fair, it's tied for the worst town. It goes SoCal, and then every other town is the worst town I've ever been in. So, but other than that, it was great. Fans were delightful. Met some good folks. Happy to come out here and entertain, doing what I love to do.
You know what? You've been wrestling for quite a while. Lately, you've had such a great resurgence in this tag team that you're in. I find that with you and Scorpio Sky, you guys really seem to have a great chemistry together. What has he brought to you?
He brings, a lot of energy, a lot of athleticism, a very unique style. Scorp and I have been friends for a long time. We were rivals in 2006, 2007 PWG. We had about a year-long feud, and we had a tremendous chemistry as opponents. So in forming SCU, we knew that we would have good chemistry as partners, both Christopher Daniels and myself with Sky. And he brings so much to the table. He's a great dude. He's got tremendous personality, tremendous potential, and just brings that extra element to what CD and I brought to the table. And as a group, it's just clicked, and I'm having the time of my life with it.
Well, you know what? It's kind of unique to see. On ROH, you guys were such the villainous team, but it just seems the fans lately just more and more gravitate to just enjoying what you guys are doing.
A lot of that, most of it is because of being able to be on Being the Elite show on YouTube and being able to use that as an outlet to get our personalities over. And if you would have told me, 10 years ago that all they had to do was bury a town and the place would start popping for it, I would have thought you were crazy, but that's kind of what it is. And they really just take into us as a unit, and I'm humbled by it, and I'm honored by it. And a lot of people are buying our Worst Town t-shirts. They're on Hot Topic, so we're firing on all cylinders right now, and it's a cool feeling.
How do you think the future is going to be for you in the upcoming year? I mean, this year has been obviously a great year for your team. What do you have plans for next year, and what do you hope to happen?
Well, whatever happens, SCU is sticking together. We are, we've just scratched the surface of what we can do as a tag team, as a six-man team, and as individuals. 2018 was a great year, maybe my best year in the 21 years I've been doing this. Certainly, probably my most eventful year. And 2019 is going to be unreal. And if you thought wrestling was crazy in 2019, it's going to be even wilder.
Well, now, I've followed you quite a bit over Impact.
That's why I got a restraining order.
And I have noticed, though, ROH really has given you a chance to open up and add a whole new dimension of what you put on the table. I've seen so much more incredible stuff out of you. Were you just waiting for that to burst out?
Well, Ring of Honor has been very, very generous in allowing myself and Christopher Daniels a lot of creativity in terms of who we want to wrestle, what kind of matches they're going to be, storylines, angles, stuff like that. So when you have that that creative synergy, it's really conducive to a good working environment, in my opinion. And it's just it's been beneficial for us. It has been beneficial for the company. Ring of Honor's had, since we got there in 2014, they've had, increases every year in revenue, in merchandise, and live gates, and pay-per-view buys, and that's in part to all of us wrestlers and all of the guys on the office side of it really working hard and giving the fans a show that they want to see.
One question I'd like to ask is, I know there's this big news in ROH about a bunch of guys leaving, but ROH has had this over the many years. Yeah. There's obviously a bunch of great talent out there. Who do you see as the next guys that we should really be watching for on ROH? Who are the guys you think are this going to give the opportunity to rise up and show that they're real stars?
Certainly, first name that comes to mind is Flip Gordon. He's already kind of shown the world what he can do. He's a tremendous talent. His personality's really getting out there, and he's really getting very comfortable. And that guy has a huge future. Certainly potential world champ material. On the other side of it, he's the one guy that stands out to me. Jeff Cobb, another guy that has been kind of an indie darling and an internet sensation for some time, but he's now there's a lot more eyeballs on him, and he is very impressive, and in my opinion is the closest thing that this generation has to a Samoa Joe, and incredibly talented, very, very athletic, tremendous upside. He is a guy that I could see carrying that company, into the next decade.
Now, do you see yourself getting a chance sometime to do some New Japan stuff? I know a lot of ROH wrestlers go over there. I don't know, have you actually done a tour?
Yeah, 2015, Chris Daniels and I competed in the Tag League, which is going on right now. Had a great showing, very, very successful tour. And we've done 2 of the New Japan shows they do in Long Beach. We've done those, and wrestled pretty much everyone on the roster there in the War of the World shows when they bring those guys over there. And anytime we get to go over there, or anytime they bring those guys over and we get to get in the ring with them, obviously the level of talent those guys have is off the charts. So it's good to be in there. The fans love it. And I'm happy to go back to Japan whenever my card is called.
At the last part, I just want to end with just fans want to know a little bit about you. So first of all, obviously you're into music. You talk about music a lot. What is the music that you like?
I'm always a rock and metal guy. My gateway band into the music that I enjoy was Guns N' Roses. I grew up listening to what my parents were listening to, which was a lot of Rolling Stones and Frank Zappa and Jimi Hendrix and 50s doo-wop stuff, and some outlaw country, Waylon and Willie and stuff like that, and Johnny Cash. And I got into Guns N' Roses, and through that band discovered a band called Metallica, which really just turned me on to heavy metal. And through Metallica, discovered Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, and the list goes on. And so then those bands are still my favorite bands to this day, the Panteras, and then more modern like the Five Finger Death Punch and those type of bands. And that's my other passion. I play in 2 bands right now, and my ring music I wrote and recorded and wrote the lyrics and wrote the music and all that. So that's another part of my personality that I like to express and share with wrestling fans.
Now, can you give us some info, like how can fans look? Do you have stuff online?
Certainly, yeah. My band, Gutter Candy, you can go to guttercandyrules.com. That's our website. That shows where all of our gigs, upcoming gigs are, past gigs. Also Gutter Candy on Twitter and Instagram. And my other band that is not as active right now, the band that I formed is the band that wrote and performed our entrance music, is called Vex Temper, and we're also on Twitter. And we're just recording right now. We're down a member, so we're recording right now. But if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I'll talk about those bands and talk about my cigars, probably ad nauseum. So you'll get all the info if you follow me.
So we're talking music, we're talking cigars. Any last thing you want fans to know about you that they may not know about you?
You may not know that I hail from Southern California, and I find it to be the best town in the world. Then again, you might know that about me. But, hey, you might not know that I've been doing this close to 21 years, and I'm coming off of probably my most successful year in the industry. I'm very, very happy to be one of the guys who has survived and thrived, and a guy that has a foot in the old school and a foot in the new school. And 21 years in, can still hang and go have great matches with guys 10, 15 years younger than me. And there's no slowing down in sight. And like I said earlier, 2019 is going to just blow the doors off the industry.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you for taking this time. Last thing, you got some things you want to throw out there for yourself, for Frankie Kazarian? Is there places fans can look up stuff, things they can get a hold of you, anything like that?
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter's Frankie Kazarian, Instagram is Frankie Kazarian Official. And yeah, anything of relevance or anything I think of relevance, I will put on there. I will also put a lot of nonsense and silly stuff, but follow me along the ride, man. And you know, I appreciate the support. I met so many people today who said they've been watching me for, 15 years, going back to the early days of TNA, and that means the world to me. And thanks for coming on the ride with me.
Wow, did I tell you that was a fun interview, Elio?
That was a great interview.
Now, you know what? I had to search through the interweb to find you, my friend. Found you in a dark web cafe, talking wrestling to some, I don't know if it was Russians or something, but what you do in your spare time, that's cool on you. But you know what? I had some fun today. I know you're a little bit nervous because it's your first time on here, but I want to invite you back next week. And this week we managed to not do something we've done every episode except this one, and that's do the face-off, where we take a topic and we present our views on it, and then we have a contrasting view from the other guy, and then we put it out to the fans to decide what they think is the better view, or the more popular view. Now, Tony, I don't know if we'll see him around the show for a while. I'd be pretty embarrassed losing that. But he lost. I won. I am a gracious winner. Thank you, fans. I love you all. I don't care what Tony says about you. You guys rock. Next week, Elio, I am going to, after the show, I am going to think of a topic. Tomorrow I'm going to email it to you. I'm going to give you 6 days to mull what you think of that topic. And next week, on next week's episode, fans, you will hear a face-off. The first time between Elio Canella and me, we are going to actually throw down gloves, see where it heads. Fans, it's been a great time. Elio, first of all, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to seeing you next week. And fans, it's been fun. I've been your host, TJ Logan, and tune in next week. We'll have some more hilarity, and just have a great week, people. It's cold out there.